Hey everybody, today it is the 21st. It's the first day of Taurus, and we are doing the daily Taurus reading. The overall energy for Taurus today is Jupiter, and we still in a transition. So there's this energy of Saturn. The high frequency is Mercury, medium frequency is Uranus and Neptune, and the low frequency is Pluto. So with that being said, let's first look and see what Saturn has to say for Taurus right now. Now, when you're talking about Saturn, you're talking about 10th house Capricorn. Okay, so let's look and see what that's talking about. Water signs. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy. Alright, so we have the Scorpio energy on a board. Now, when you're dealing with earth signs and water signs, as long as things stay in balance, everything could be clear, right? So let's get the wheel and talk about what the wheel got to say. If we're talking about Capricorn, you're talking about reputation, honor, and profession, and employers, authorities, and elders. If you're talking about the Virgo, service, occupations, employees, food, stuff like that, a small animal, sometimes illness, right? And then outside of that, in the earth signs, you're talking about the actual water signs, excuse me, but this isn't Saturn. Look, I'm tripping, right? Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, confinement, hospitals, institutions, family, home environment, how one sees themselves, and inheritance, taxes, the endings of things, deaths, and regenerations, and sometimes sexual energy. Now, with the overall energy, speaking about Jupiter, right, this is the 9th house, so you're talking about philosophy, abstract thinking, dreams, visions, faith, religion, sometimes long journeys. Mercury deals more with the house of Virgo, which I was speaking about anyway, right? And also the house of Gemini. So let's see what's going on in the high frequencies in a second. But let's see what Jupiter wants Tauruses to pay attention to, and people who is dominant in Taurus and some Jupiter. Let's see. So it says the moon. All right. So today is the discussion. When you're dealing with the moon, that's the Cancer house. So you're still talking about the home environment, family, the inner self, all of that kind of stuff, right? How one sees themselves, dealing with the mothers, dealing with the fathers, dealing with the elders. So this is, and also when you're dealing with the moon, it's also a discussion of being tapped in intuitively, emotionally, with natural love. But this is also coming under this discussion of Jupiter. So there may be some things that's not clear in the moon all the time. And this requires faith and intuition and emotional connection. Okay, so some Tauruses may need to get a little bit out of their earth energy and into their Jupiter concepts and their moon concepts, their moon energies, right? And that's not only like, family and stuff, but your intuition, your feminine energy a little bit, okay? So it's saying Tauruses, work on your water energy, okay? Even in Saturn, even when Saturn is still in transition. So let's look at the high frequencies over here discussing Mercury, because Mercury is a discussion of communication, also mentality and expression, right? But it's also discussing some short travels for some who are thinking about traveling. Let's see. Outside of service and occupations and employees and foods and things of that nature. So let's see what's going on here. Alrighty. What does Mercury have to say? Compromise. Alright, which is really the 6 of Pentacles. Also, consciousness comes down. This is like the Ace of Swords. This is air energy. Sorrow, 9 of Swords energy. Alright, so first off, there may be, dealing with some Tauruses, there may be some compromises that's taking place or that or was taking place. These are things that you're supposed to be getting over in the higher frequency of Mercury, right? The compromises, making sure that things is in balance, making sure that things is done with consciousness, but also getting over sorrows when you're dealing with the 3rd house and you're dealing with the 6th house. But we're going to look into it a little bit more. Alright, this is a lot of air energy. This is air energy, earth energy, okay? Balancing things out. Giving with fairness. giving consciously, okay? And this is what prevents sorrows when you're looking, and especially with communication, right? Because even when you're dealing with the air signs, it's a lot about thought and communication, okay? So let's see what else is going on here. And this medium frequency, you're talking about Uranus and Neptune. So you're talking about the houses Aquarius and Pisces. You're talking about friends, social groups, long trips, hopes and wishes. But you're also talking about confinement, hospitals, institutions, the subconscious mind. These kind of things and hidden activities and secrets, right? So let's see what else is going on here. So you have the Queen of Swords here. Okay, this is air, water energy. You also have beyond the illusion. All right, and then you also, that's a major. And then you have this air, fire energy. So you're dealing with this Libra, Aquarius energy. One is underlying water, one is underlying fire, and then there's beyond the illusion, right? And so this is maybe where the Six of Coins is coming in. Some things that may be revealed. Okay, some things that may deal with communication and mentality, and you know, it could be a little bit aggressive, okay, at sometimes. But there's a discussion of, in the secrets, okay, there's some illusions, okay, that one should look beyond, that we're gonna look a little bit further than that, okay. This is Libra, Aquarius energy right here. And you know what, just to be fair, because usually they don't both come out at the same time all the time, right? But let's look at what's going on here with these swords. So you got the swords, right? So that's 20 degrees of Taurus and 20 degrees of Gemini. So this is making some sense. So let's focus on this Gemini house for a second, right? And then when you're dealing with the Queen of Swords, hold on, let's make sure we got this correct. Yeah, when we're dealing with the Queen of Swords, you're dealing with 20 degrees of Virgo, 20 degrees of Libra. All right. So yeah, this is on the charts. So let's see what else is going on here. So pay attention to your partnerships and relationships. Make sure things is in balance. Make sure things is abiding by law at the end of the day, right? Especially when interacting with the social groups and things of that nature. Sometimes you get into a social state, you know, and you be in a no. People could be in a no. Tauruses could be in a no. And in this Taurus energy, if there's Tauruses that's in a no or will be in a no, please tap into your faith, right? And what you really stand for and what you believe in. And also, you know, when you're dealing with Jupiter, you talk about good luck and fortune. So let's see. And Saturn also discusses building firm foundations. The thing is, when there's an overflowing of water and it's out of balance, it creates a muddy situation. So let's see what's going on down here. The politics, right? The guilt. That card came out earlier. Comparison. First off, in this lower frequency, you know, the lower frequency is of Scorpio. Now, the general house is taxes, inheritance, death, insurance, regeneration, sex, and things of that nature. But when you're dealing with this in this particular deck, the 7 is talking about all of the politics, and this could be politicking on any level. All right, and there's gonna be a little bit of guilt and entrapment that takes place when this change come through with this politicking. And there's, you know, individuals that may be trying to compare situations and compare individuals and compare themselves. That's not what you're trying to do. Do not self-sabotage. Don't get into the additional extracurricular politicking. You know, pay attention, okay, at the end of the day. And this guilt and this self-entrapment and feeling like you can't find your way out, these are the things that have to change in the lower frequencies at the end of the day. The comparing yourself to the next individual, trying to figure out if you're stronger than the next individual. Are your thoughts stronger than the next individuals? This 5 of Swords, this is a discussion of conflict. There's a lot of air on the board, right? So when you really look at it, why do so? And if you're looking straight up the board here, is really a discussion of the 7 of Swords here, self-compromising, theft, things of that nature. You have the morality that comes here. It speaks of that balancing out. Even when you're dealing with the Libra, you're still dealing with the scales. The scales have to remain in balance, even in the physical reality, right? And it requires some compromise and communication and thought of compromise, even though when you're looking at numerology, the 5 does kind of discuss conflicts, and there may be some conflicts, and I'm talking about the number, I'm not talking about the house. You understand? So there may be some conflicts when it comes to compromising, when it comes to doing things in balance consciously, that, some may be in a higher frequency compromising and doing things in balance. Taurus is consciously and still experience some type of sorrow. This is, something that can take place, and this is why you have to go into your belief systems, your visions, your dreams, understanding your fortunes and things of that nature. Now, in this middle frequency, that there could be there are conversations of revealing things. The Queen of Swords, even though there's water energy, is very open to communication and very stern and very straightforward and very tough to crack, because she moves between emotions and logic a lot, right? And people will try to throw that off, situations will try to throw that off, but beyond the illusion is a point here when you get into the revealing and dealing with institutions and dealing with friends and dealing with social circles. What is the illusion, and does it even matter right now? You have this control issue here, and so we all move through the feminine and masculine principles, and there may be, in Taurus, this air energy that's dominant. Pay attention to your charts. That's why I gave you the degrees, right? Where there's communication and there's control, and action and power that comes through and becomes revealed. Even beyond the illusion of the situation becomes revealed. This is why the beyond the illusion comes into the medium frequency, where it can go either way right now. Either one is going to come out the illusion, or they're going to stay within the illusion. It's really pure choice in a matter of actual consciousness at the end of the day in a higher frequency. So anyway, understand that beyond the illusion comes right where it's supposed to be, because when you're dealing with hidden activities and secrets, that creates illusion. When the illusion is put out there, Taurus energies, that may be dominant in a Saturn and a Jupiter, understand it brings you beyond the illusion, makes you a little bit more conscious, and in that consciousness, one may experience sorrow, but they will get over it at the end of the day. Masculines, that's in the Taurus energy, Jupiter energy, they kind of dominant in their Aquarius energies and things of that nature. You need to get beyond certain sorrows to stay in this higher frequency, because everything and everybody you cannot control. It's just that simple. And in the lower frequencies, it's like, compare yourself. No. Taurus, pay attention, because even though you may be Taurus, and this is the reading, right? You still may have Jupiter in your chart that needs to be paid attention to, and you may need to tap in on a higher frequency, use your emotions a little bit, right? But at the end of the day, it's definitely telling you to keep in balance your earth and water energy, especially when you're dealing with your Capricorn house. And again, in your high frequency, your Mercury is about your imbalance. You're able to communicate in balance. You're able to give in balance. You're able to do this consciously. And yeah, it comes with sorrow, but yes, one gets over it. And I'm going to show you, we're going to look at another card just to see what the sorrow is about. So here you got the slowing down. Okay, and so yes, things can slow down, all right, and people may experience a slowing down, especially when they're focusing on being conscious and trying to maintain balance and communicate and have that particular mentality. Certain things will slow down, and it's very interesting that this come up because Taurus is in the earth sign, and the earth signs kind of move, the time frame is a whole lot slower. So usually when you're dealing with the earth signs, you're dealing with years, right? So anyway, let's see what else is kind of come underneath this slowing down next to this control factor right here. This King of Swords with this underlying fire energy, right? Courage. And so when you deal with the air energies, Taurus, and you have air in your charts, Taurus, understand whether you are masculine or feminine here. Right now in the ethers is putting people through particular situations that require courage, whether you masculine or feminine, And to come beyond particular certain illusions do require courage. You have to really stand on something and really believe on something, and really be into it. Especially because Tauruses, they don't really do very well with the emotions. So the best way to tap in is through their spiritual aspects, right? And be willing to go beyond what they actually are used to experiencing. And that's what the moon also talks about, because the moon doesn't give all clarity, right? The moon gives you enough light to see, to get to a certain point, but it still requires faith, right? Now let's look down in this lower frequency right here, what comes under courage, and then we're gonna get off this joint. I might throw a card or two down on the moon real fast, I don't know. Rebirth, exactly, and that goes right with what Pluto was discussing, right? One goes through self-sabotaging processes. One may experience backstabbing, theft, stress, confinements, feeling guilt, feeling like they have to compare themselves or compete. But this is really about mental conflict and war and fighting, right? And then you deal with this Ten of Swords here, this endings and rebirths, okay? These things require courage, and then it does put one in a position to slow down in certain aspects. So understand that if things are changing down here in this lower frequency, the self-sabotage and the theft, the feeling like, things are not working in fairness, somebody's taking, everything is a stressful event, everything is a fight, right? It ends, and then the rebirth comes into place, bringing you into this middle frequency of tapping in, right? The subconscious mind, understanding the secrets of reality, of communicating, of your emotions, looking beyond the illusions that reality give everybody, understanding your masculine principle, and the fact that even in that, it comes with strong communication and very strict and very stern, and comes with lots of passion and fire energy and courage in the higher frequencies, or in the ethers, let's say. And then you get up into this 5 right here, and then you learn how to balance out, give with balance, give and take with balance, and you do it in a conscious manner. And yes, sometimes it brings upon sorrow, but in the higher frequency, the communication is not that. It's getting over these stresses and sorrows and things of that nature, and kind of slowing down and looking at things for what it is, right? So let's see what's going on with this moon. I'm going to just throw 2 cards down on the moon. All right, so here we go. The dream, which makes sense when you under Jupiter, because Jupiter speaks of dreams, right? So you're talking about the dream. This is really the 6 of Cups. It does talk about dreams. It talks about past events. It talks about holding on to the past, thinking about the past, being affected by past thoughts, experiences, even people, right? And then you have this 9 of Cups. This is a lot of water energy right here. And then you have exhaustion, all right, with this 9 of Wands. So understand that at the end of the day, yes, there's a lot that goes on that people remember, people think about. These are things that may not be very clear when it comes to this Taurus Jupiter energy tapping in spiritually, right? Things that's not extremely clear, choices that have to be made. And so this is a discussion of what are the things from the past that actually bring meaning and comfort. Even though in this particular deck the card comes down as laziness, but this comes down as a spoiled energy, a comfortable energy, a happy energy, somebody that actually has everything. But in a negative light, it could be a form of laziness. You also have another 9 here. They all derivatives of 3, right? So what's that? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 still brings you to the 6, right? Talking about the 6 in the earth. So you have this exhaustion. is there a discussion of being so comfortable, or being so lazy that even, certain thoughts, certain activities, certain emotions are even exhausting? What's going on here in the moon that exhaustion would come down with a card of being spoiled, right? A card of being content, one that's happy, past experiences and thoughts and information. So we're gonna look, because that card don't really go. And when you're dealing with water and fire, you get a little bit of smoke, which probably will bring up the moon here. So let's see what else goes down. I'll give it one more. And this is something that may have to be balanced out with Taurus, which is this water fire energy here. Alright, so this could be some Tauruses dealing with some partnerships, some relationships, some friendships, right? Some friends, okay? And so understand that even when you're dealing with this Uranus and Neptune, you're still dealing with friends and social groups, okay? It doesn't necessarily have to be a love relationship, but it could be for some Tauruses, right? Where there's past events and situations where things was good and everything's comfortable, but it was a very exhausting situation. And so what does this bring us into? We got the 6, 7, 8, brings you into the 8s, right? Things moving fast, feeling entrapped right here. We got an 8 on the board here. So walking away from particular situations. There's some things that have to be clear with dealing with Taurus today, right? Things that has gone on in the past, comfortabilities that may have gone on that's not very clear, exhaustions, being over, battling and fighting and feeling like everything is a fight, especially when it comes to partnerships, friendships, and relationships. These are some things that have to be cleared up and looked into, and it could tamper with the emotions of a Taurus type of energy, especially if they're dominant. So it's important that if these are the things that are taking place in your life and they resonate, that you tap into another source so that you can stay into balance. And so it's telling you today, if this is what you experience, and tap into your Jupiter, your Sagittarius energy, get into your faith, your belief, your religion, to stay in balance for the moment. And also make sure that you keep in your waters in balance when you're dealing with Saturn, which is, reputation and honor, but also building foundations, investments, and wealth and stabilities and things of that nature. So anyway, Tauruses, it is the first day of Taurus. Be good, Tauruses, and I will see you all on the next one. Smooches and deuces.